Static electricity. When you rub certain things like a balloon or a plastic comb, they can get special electric charges that make hair or small bits of paper stick or jump toward them. This happens because tiny particles called electrons move around and create a force that attracts objects without touching. Here's a simple way to explain static electricity for kids. What is static electricity? Imagine when you rub a balloon on your hair or a plastic comb on a sweater. It's like giving the balloon or comb a special power called an electric charge. This special power can make your hair stand up or tiny bits of paper jump and stick to the balloon or comb. This magic happens because very tiny things called electrons move from one thing to another when you rub them. These electrons create an invisible force that pulls things together even though they don't actually touch. Fun fact: static electricity is what makes your hair stand up when you take off a hat or when cloths stick together in the dryer. Have you ever rubbed a balloon on your hair and then stuck it to your wall? That's static electricity at work. When you rub the balloon, tiny invisible particles called electrons move from your hair into the balloon. This gives the balloon a special electric charge that can pull things like bits of paper or your hair toward it without touching. It's like the balloon has a little magic power to attract things. Even lightning in the sky is a giant example of static electricity. That's why during storms you see bolts of lightning, huge electric charges moving in the clouds. Would you like to try a fun experiment to see static electricity in action? What you need is a balloon, small pieces of paper, which is cut into little squares about 1 centimeter. Your hair, a wool sweater, or a shirt to rub the balloon on. First step is to cut small paper pieces. Have an adult help cut small paper pieces about 1 centimeter each. You can also use tissue paper or tiny bits of foil. Next, blow up the balloon and tie it so the air doesn't come out. Rub the balloon quickly back and forth on your hair, a wool sweater, or a shirt for about 20 to 30 seconds. This gives the balloon static electricity. Hold the balloon close to the small paper pieces without touching them. Watch as the paper jumps and sticks to the balloon. You can also try to stick small bits of foil or styrofoam to the balloon. Why this happens? When you rub the balloon, tiny invisible particles called electrons move onto the balloon. The balloon gets a special static charge that pulls the paper or foil toward it almost like magic. The balloon can even stick to walls or make your hair stand up. Safety tip. Sometimes you might get a little tiny shock. That's normal and not harmful. In short, static electricity happens when tiny particles called electrons move from one thing to another, making one object have extra electrons and a special electric charge. This charge can make objects like hair or paper bits stick or jump to the charged object even without touching. A little invisible magic that pulls things together or pushes them apart.